What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode on TnT Outdoors. Today is going to be a little different. I'm finally getting around to being able to get some days off and make some more content. And if y'all keep up with our Instagram, I put a poll on there a couple weeks ago of the three best deer I've killed to date, and asked which one I should do a breakdown video. We're going to try to do a few of them. We don't know which deer yet, but I wanted to get y'all's opinion on which one I should do first. And 95% of the people that voted wanted my biggest deer. And I'll put a picture of him here in just a second so y'all know which deer I'm talking about. I killed him in 2019, but we're going to do a little breakdown of the hunt and just some of the stuff from that season, that year, and how I killed him, what plan I put together to kill this deer, and because he was the deer I was after. And it's a pretty good story. I think y'all will really enjoy it. Unfortunately, that was before we was filming and everything. I did get the shot with a GoPro, but it's not great footage and you can't tell much about it. I'll put that in this video, but unfortunately there's no footage of this deer. I'll have some trail cameras and it's going to be a lot of talking. So I hope that'll be alright with you guys. It don't bore you too much, but I think it'll be a good story and y'all really enjoy it. So I'm going to put a picture of this deer here and then we'll get right into it. So where this story all starts is we've got a buddy that does a lot of farming and leases property all over the surrounding counties, and he's been good to us. I've killed some deer on him before, and he was actually leasing the piece that I killed this deer on. It wasn't a huge piece of land, but I had enough to really hold some deer there. But it's always been more of a rut spot. You get your bucks like late October, the week of Halloween, throughout November and part of gun season, and then they go off somewhere else again and you don't see them all summer. It just holds a lot of does and the bucks are there come rut. And he pretty much told me he wouldn't farm in this piece or nothing. It was just a place he leased, and that he wouldn't get in pictures of anything early season. And he basically told me that if I kept an eye on the place and fed the corn and done all that, that I could hunt it and pretty much have free range to shoot what I wanted and everything. So the year before that, I went up there once and I shot a doe. So I was a little familiar with the place, but that was the only time I'd been there. And I went up to this place and he kind of showed me where the two stands were, and he said I could hang some different ones or I could keep those, and I like those setups, and he's killed deer out of them before, so I just told him I'd keep them, and I started feeding corn. Well, that was early October, I think, first week of October, and I fed corn for a couple weeks, checked cameras. I tried to check it like once a week, but I wanted to stay out of there. Didn't have my heart set on any deer there yet. There were some small bucks starting to show up and filter in, but I had my eyes on actually a deer we've got on another place and had been hunting him pretty hard. Well, I checked cameras the 26th of October and I got a picture of this deer, and I was just amazed, and we immediately was like, we gotta hunt this deer, we gotta get on him. So I immediately told myself I'm not gonna shoot a deer unless it's him. And gun season was coming up in a few weeks, so I kind of just stayed out of there. I had killed a deer with a bow, but I wouldn't just set on killing him with a bow. I just wanted to kill the deer. So my plan was to go in there opening day of gun season and hunt this deer. Dad had already killed a buck and Trace hadn't, but Trace hadn't been to that place, hadn't really hunted it. He's never hunted it actually. And we went in there and made sure the stands were good and everything, tightened them down, got out real quick, and I wasn't going to hunt it till opening day. So opening day rolls around and the guy that leases it told me, he was like, go to either stand, hunt whichever one you want. And it was a tough decision on which one I wanted to hunt, but he had been at the front one more. So I ended up going to the front stand, and as I'm walking in, there's a deer on the corn pile and he runs and jumps off, and I could tell he had antlers, but it was still dark and I just didn't think nothing of it, and climbed up in the stand. It was really cold that morning. I believe it was like low 20s. It was November 9th. and just had a great feeling about the day. Deer were moving early, saw a couple does. There was a spike that went through. He stopped right up under my tree, put on an awesome show. Well, it got about 7:30 and hadn't seen anything for 35-40 minutes. So I decided to do a small rattling sequence and a few grunts. And I thought I heard a deer grunt behind me, but 30 minutes went past, never saw the deer, never heard him again. I thought maybe I was just hearing things. So my stomach starts growling as usual, and I get kind of snacky. So I open up a honey bun, start to eat the honey bun, stand up to stretch, and as I'm standing up, I take a bite out of this honey bun, and there's a doe 30 yards to my left, and just looks like something's after her. She's like in a panic, she's moving, and I immediately just heard the loud, deep roar grunt and knew it was a big buck. So I tried to sit down. I had my 6.5 with me, and that gun has been awesome for me. I've killed a ton of stuff with it already. He comes, at first I don't know it's him. So I just see antlers and figured it was a buck I would shoot, but I told myself I only want the split G2 deer. I immediately see the tall G2 with the split on it and was like, oh crap, it's game time. He's now standing at 35 yards on this doe. I sit down real slow. It's a ladder stand that has the bar to rest off of to shoot. So I get the gun propped up on the bar. The doe circles and starts to come to the corn pile. So I'm just figuring he's going to follow her, because he wasn't really dogging her. He was just chasing her from behind, and he wasn't just crazy aggressive or anything. So I didn't want to call to him to try to get him closer to me, because I had a gun. So I was just going to kill him at 40 yards. But I was patient. I was giving him time. Didn't want to rush it. I was just going to let him come to the corn. Well, I go to reach and turn on the GoPro, and when I'm in that movement of reaching for the camera, the doe picks me off. I had no idea she was looking at me, just a mistake I made. Adrenaline was pumping. I was in a panic trying to get this deer. So she sees me, and you actually see her hop and take off in the footage. When she circles, he starts to go with her, and for whatever reason just stops in a perfect shooting lane. And I flipped the safety off, and the rest is history. I shot him, and he mule kicks, runs and jumps, and actually falls still in the frame of the camera. You see him stumble and fall over, and he probably didn't go 30 yards. At that point, I come unglued. You can hear me breathing in the camera, and after I shot, I wasn't thinking. I actually turned the GoPro off, so I filmed all the recovery with my phone. But I called the landowner, called my dad, told him what happened. I was like, I just shot the split G2 buck. None of them believed me, because I really didn't expect to see that deer. There was another deer there with a kicker that was probably in the upper 130s, and I probably would have shot him, because those deer don't stay there. It's just a travel course in the rut. So I couldn't be too picky. I was still in school. I was playing basketball, so didn't have a whole lot of time to hunt come November, December. I needed to get it done quick. But luckily, it was the deer I wanted. It all played out, and I immediately knew it was him. We still didn't know how big this deer was, but he looked huge when he was in the scope. It all happened so fast, I didn't even have time to think. I just saw him fall over, and it was before 8 o'clock. So I call my dad. He's hunting, and I'm like, just take your time. I'm going to sit here, relax, finish eating, just enjoy it, take in the moment. So the guy that leases it actually wasn't hunting, so he said, I'll come help you if you see the deer down. And I was like, yeah, he's laying 40 yards in front of me. So I get down and actually film him and film the recovery, walking up to him, and I look at him and everything, but didn't try to drag him, remove him, because I wanted pictures where he was at when the other guy got there. we pulled the card from the camera, and that's actually the buck I run off going in. So if it wasn't for that hot doe, I would have really messed up my chance at that deer, because he didn't blow or anything, but I run him off the corn, and what's the odds a deer like that comes back? So really, we was pretty impressed that we was just at the right spot at the right time, got really, really lucky. And I will play the footage for y'all right now.